Hey, hold on real quick. Hold on. Pause.
I know y'all have seen it. It's been in the news lately. Well, at least it's been trending. Dave Chappelle's 846.
Great.
Yes, I loved it. I loved it. Yeah, I saw it for sure.
Let's try to play a little bit. I hope YouTube doesn't dick us and take this down. I won't show the video.
Let's just talk over it the entire time.
Yeah, I'll show a little bit. It was heavy, but you know what? I'm with you. I loved it. I loved every part of it. We'll only play a little bit because they'll dick us and take it down. But I was surprised. I wasn't. I mean, not that I was surprised, but it definitely was more passionate than I'm used to seeing Chappelle. But I agree with everything that he said. You know, he's talking about how he was experiencing an earthquake, and that 30 seconds he was scared shitless because he thought like, I'm gonna die. This is it. It's over. And that was only 30 seconds. He's talking about how, you know, George Floyd had to endure what he endured for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. That I didn't even know. I didn't realize that it was that long. I knew it was not, 30 seconds. I knew it was a long time. But damn near 10 minutes. What makes me more upset than anything, and I mean, I guess I understand you can't do much. There's police there, and that's part of the problem. But the fact that nobody tried to stop it, that nobody try to call 911 and say like, hey, I see some shit didn't look right to me, and I don't know, maybe people did that, but it just blows my mind that we're like, that's where the world is at now, where people are just quick to record and just chill and not actually do anything. That's what, that was kind of the aha moment that I had.
Right. Well, I would say that, dude, it's it's fucked up, man. Like that obviously is a long fucking time. To have like your knee on someone's neck, or to have it. I mean, that's a long time for anything. Actually, if you think about it. Yeah, you think about 8 minutes, 46 seconds, bro. That's a long time. I mean, think if you just have to like wait in a drive-through for that long. Like,
yeah.
Mike, I know you for a fact would shit your pants. Like, you'd be like, what the hell's going on? Like seriously. Yeah. I mean, like, if you have to wait for your fucking Starbucks for that fucking long.
2 minutes.
I mean, having pressure on you. I don't know if anybody's ever been in a fight or anything like that, but those shits don't last longer than 2 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Like a real fight, because you get tired. I mean, it feels like longer. Hell yeah. But you get tired, bro. That's why boxing matches only go for 3 minutes. I mean, each round only goes for 3 minutes. You know what I'm saying? It's because like you're fucking working. Could you imagine someone that's just? I mean, George Floyd was a big guy, but I mean, just as fucking big as you. Work security, everything like that. I'm a grown fucking man. On your fucking neck for that long, and then the shit with the other guys standing around.
Nonchalant.
Like, I mean, just nonchalant. That's where the accountability comes in. And I mean, those by the grace of God, those guys did get charged, with some type of crime or whatever. I'm not sure, what it is right now. But I mean, but yeah, dude, I if I was there and I saw that shit, I'm not gonna lie, bro. I would have like kind of like had to like just ran and like push the guy up off of him there. If I would have got arrested, they would have did me like that too. Like it would have just happened. But like you said, man, I can't just like sit around and, like just record something like that. Like even if it's a fight or something that's going on, yeah, I can't just watch something like that.
And my thing is right. And my thing is, so I think I agree with y'all. What y'all saying, like you should have like pushed and did something, but in that moment, you don't know what you're gonna do. You know what I'm saying? It's probably like a shock. It was probably like a shock factor for some people too. They didn't know what the fuck was happening. They're probably trying to process some shit, and also they probably didn't want to like die because we don't know when we like jump in and like help out and shit. Because somebody who jumped in, they probably would have like got shot or some shit. Easily.
That's
you know
the
what
scary
I mean?
part, man. Like
so
that's
like,
part of the problem.
Right, exactly. So people don't know like when can we jump in and do something. You know what I'm saying? Like it should be automatic, but it's like. It's a thin line. It sucks. It really does. Like it's fucked up. Like it really is. I don't know if reforms will help. I think we should just dismantle the whole thing and start from ground up. Personally, but it's just crazy, man.
But to go into conversations about that, I'm sorry if I'm cutting anybody off, but dismantle everything and to, you know, start from the ground up. It's like, how do you even start some shit like that?
Right.
Like what point do you start it, and where do you even want to go?
That's the thing. That's why we got to have these conversations as like a society, you know, like, hey, like, what do we actually want to do? I'm saying that because I feel like the system was never really designed, set up well anyways. We all know that, you know, so like reforms is kind of putting like a Band-Aid over it. Band-Aid for a little bit, and then it's going to come off again eventually, you know, so that's my opinion of it.
I think part of the thing too is, I mean, my last job, I worked there for 8 years. Right when I joined, they were part of a merger with another company. So that was 5 years in after that. So I ended up having worked there for longer than they had been merged with, you know, the other company. And over time, it became more and more apparent all the little disconnects, all the little cultural differences between, you know, the North Campus in another state and then, you know, our campus here in Texas. And not even like racial culture, just like business culture, you know, like the more lax versus more uptight, you know, more creative versus more process oriented. I mean, it was night and day difference. And, you know, I look at that and I'm thinking, when I joined the company, I wasn't even aware of that kind of stuff. You know, I wasn't even aware that a merger would have those kind of discrepancies, you know, until you're actually in it. And then I thought back on like, man, 5 years for two completely different cultures having merged isn't shit. I mean, think about it from a sports standpoint. Let's say they said, you know what, we're going to do sports, but we're going to cut all the teams in half. You're going to merge. You know, everybody, New York, Boston, you're one team now. Everybody, 2 LA teams, you're one team now. Think about that culture clash and think about how long it would take for shit to work itself out. Think about even 5 years down the line. If you were to say, all right, Patriots and Browns, y'all are partnered up now. Imagine 5 years down the line what things would look like. The crazy part is when you think about slavery, that was what, 155 years ago? 160 years ago?
And it wasn't that long ago, actually.
That's not at all that long ago. Exactly. And I mean, segregation, all these things. So, and I'm just talking about, you know, my company was what, 5,000 people, I think, after the merger. You know, we're talking about 300 million. So it takes a long time to put these things together. And I think that you kind of have to take it from a grassroots approach, you know, bit by bit, piece by piece. There's still a lot wrong with the system. Right. But I think anybody that thinks it's just a clean, easy, sweeping fix, you know, it's very complex. I mean, I just explained that scenario to explain how, you know, 5,000 people couldn't move in the same direction over 13 years with my 8 and the 5 before combined, let alone a country 160 for, you know, it's
they could
a lot of room to grow. Like there are a lot of problems still very glaring with the country. Yes.
Right. They couldn't even do it 150 years ago when they did start from, you know, from that point. You know, It's like they had to implicate more things to just kind of keep things the way that they were, in a way. That's when, like, you know, when the policing actually came about and when Jim Crow laws came about in the 20s or whatnot like that. I mean, it's like, certain people in this country are comfortable with the way that it is.
Yeah.
And they don't want it to, they don't want it to go. And they don't want it to change because they're comfortable with it. You know what I mean? Like if you're in a room and like you're comfortable with the temperature or whatever, but someone comes in, they're like, yeah, let me crank it up, right? So you're going to be like, yo, go back to that other room where you came from, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because like I'm good here. Like it was fine in here for me. That's how people act in this country, or not even just in this country, around the world. But
I want to get Brandon's take on it.
I do too. Sorry, we've been going on. We've been
Brandon.
Nah, man, I enjoy listening to y'all's perspective, man, and just like real quick to go back to the video, like and what Chappelle was talking about. like the problem there, obviously, aside from what happened to George Floyd, is just the audacity of it all, man. Just the fact that this is happening on a street, out in public, in front of people. Like, this isn't in some back alley. Somebody sitting up there recording. However you feel about them recording, there's somebody is out there recording this. This is out there on the street in front of people. And so, like, you gotta think about that aspect as far as like the people that are watching. Maybe they wanted to act, maybe they wanted to do something, but if they sit up there watching the police with the power and the authority, sitting up there feeling empowered to do something like this in public in front of people, what you think they're gonna do to the next man or to the next person? So that's part of it. Like you're gonna have some apprehension there when you see just the damn audacity to do something like that in broad daylight. And then as far as the point about the police force and building from the ground up, I feel like there's a bunch of different ideas that like differ from defunding the police to abolishing the police entirely. Right. And like they're kind of different concepts. Like, I feel like defunding means funding them less and using the money to do things with, in other places, to put the money in better spots, and to not give the police money for things that they don't need, like all that damn riot gear that you see them wearing at the protest, and the shit that they use to bomb people's houses when they got a drug warrant, and like all of the shit that they get from the military and all of that kind of stuff. Like they don't need half of the shit that they get. And so like defunding the police is just sort of more of a concept, more of an idea of like not putting this emphasis on making them be like the domestic military, because that's not what the relationship's supposed to be like. They're not supposed to fucking be at war all the time. Right. The way that it looks, especially at these protests, and then even at what precedes the protest. Like, like that's kind of that idea. As far as abolishing the police, that's a whole nother kind of radical idea where you're talking about maybe in smaller cities you get rid of the department and you merge it with the county, or kind of like what Mike's talking about, where you kind of figure out a different kind of funding mechanism, whereas you don't have a police department, but you got a kind of more of a conglomerate. And we've seen it in different places where it's worked in some ways and in some other ways that it hasn't. But like, this is the first time that I've actually heard the idea talked about like in the mainstream. Like it's like some radical shit before now, and now it's like, you got more mainstream media talking about, well, hell, what do we want to do? We give police departments too much money, and are we not prioritizing the money in the right way? And are we empowering them in a way where they feel like they can just bang on people in the middle of the street like they did?
Right. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that extends, obviously the priority, what's in the spotlight right now is the race part of it, right? But I mean, that extends even beyond that. I mean,
it does.
I can't think of a ton of times where I felt seeing a police officer made me feel safe. If anything, it almost kind of put me on my toes, where I'm like, shit, man, like I'm doing something wrong. We've been bred to kind of think that you're always doing something wrong. You always have to kind of look over your shoulder, and it doesn't really fit the world we're in right now. Like, regardless, race aside, like the system is broken. It's there's too many times where I feel like I'm just dealing with the nuisance of having to go to the courthouse to deal with a speeding ticket, which, I mean, look, yeah, I know if I'm doing wrong, I shouldn't be speeding. Hey, I've had a clean record though, many years now. But the point is, I don't feel like I'm like, all right, I feel like they're here to ensure my safety as much as, I'm just feeling paranoid always. And I shouldn't put a blanket statement on it. There are great police out there, and I know some of them myself, but, something needs to change for sure.
Yeah, because like, you remember, Mike, when we got stereotyped in your neighborhood, which I get that. But like you said, I can't really say for myself that I've been in a lot of situations where cops have done like a lot of good for me personally. It's always something like it gets escalated, or it just like, when they come, I get nervous. Not in the fact that I'm gonna get killed, but I get nervous that something bad is about to happen, and we should automatically like think like that, But we've been groomed too.
Well, to the contrary of that, as me, and I mean, most of you guys know me personally or whatever. I've never. There's probably been, I can count on my fingers how many times like I've had like actually bad experiences with police or whatever, and like it's not that many, because usually like what it is if you know how to talk to them, if you know how to like, usually nothing bad comes up or whatnot.
I was bad. Like I haven't really had any like bad experiences, and maybe it's more so just me thinking, you know, my own shit. I'm in my own head, and that's why I'm paranoid. But it's how I feel, you know, and I think that counts for something. You know, the fact that a lot of people feel that way means something. You know, something's got to change.
And I think it's too, like, Chance, you probably like know how to talk to him and all that. But, you know I've been in situations personally where I try to talk to them calmly and peacefully, but they come at me disrespectfully, or it's like I shouldn't be talking to them at all.
Well, you should be able to ask questions, and I feel like sometimes if you ask questions, it might seem like you're challenging, you know. And you should be able to ask, "Hey, what's going on here? Like, I'm a human. I have rights. What's the situation?" Brandon, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, no, I was just going like on the point that you made about race. I think what's interesting with the police that should be kind of this unifying thing for people of all races, that like the police will break bad with white people too. You know, like they'll break bad with white people too. Like white people got horror stories too with the police. And the point there that I would make as a black person is that if they'll break bad with the white man or with a white woman or with a white person, the hell you think they'll do with me or you or you or you? You know, like let's recognize that it's, even though it's not just us, the fact that it can even be you makes it even scarier for me. And like, and I agree with Chance too. Like as far as like my experience, I haven't had that many terrible experiences with cops. I can't say like my worst experiences with cops were more so of like instances where I was like actually in the wrong. I did have a pretty racist thing happen to me with a cop one time, but I'm like Chance where I can count it on one hand. But the thing is, the issue is like just the power dynamic. It's just that you feel so powerless if you do find yourself in that situation, or if you're not even in that situation. If you like Mike and you're just like, shit, that situation might find me. You know, I think that's the hang up, because the cops know that they or at least they knew. It's kind of changing now, but the cops have felt like they had the power, and then the rest of us kind of feel like we're kind of at the mercy of whatever it is that they say. You know?
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be like that at all. You know, because like we, the people, and this goes for not only the police but for the government, whether it's local, state, federal, like we hold the power. You know, and like I mean, I know we said this a couple pods ago, but like this right here, these devices, this shit right here, this is our primary weapon against, you know, our primary defense weapon. Like I advise everyone to get dash cams and shit like that, because like you were saying, Brandon, like dude, they will break bad with the white people. I mean, we've seen it in the past 3 weeks, like how they've been like, I mean, dude, they've been fucking turning up on these like protesters and, you know, the everyone else that's out there and shit. The people I've seen getting fucked up the most at these protests have been white people, because they've been the ones that's like been fucking shit up. You know what I'm saying? But like they've been getting fucked up out here. You know what I'm saying? Like crazy. And I mean, it's just time for everybody to open their eyes to see that, yo, the police that you know, like not generalizing all as a statement, but at the same time generalizing the police as like, you know, the fraternal order of the police. They think that they're kind of above the law, you know, and you know they break the law to enforce the law.
How many times, real quick? How many times have you seen a cop flip the lights just to run the light and then flip them off?
Dude, I've seen that more times than I can count on my hands. You know what I'm saying? And that's like a week, like weekly. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, like I see that shit all the fucking time. It's like, where the fuck are you even going? You know? Shit, above the law, man. Above the fuck. But I think where this shit needs to start, where it should start, is that okay, being a police officer is a profession, right? A profession. You're a professional officer. You know what I'm saying? Like that is something that is a career. That shouldn't take 21 weeks to do training for. You know what I'm saying? That should be like a 4-year thing.
Yeah.
That should be like you should go to college to be a police officer.
Yeah, I mean, and other countries, they're doing that right now. And like you see the success rate is much higher over there than like what it is in America as far as like how they handle people. Like they actually are for the people. That's how it should be, you know?
Right. Right. I mean,
you know
the cops in England don't even carry guns.
Yeah. Hey, like Chance, I like your point about the training, but I would say this is how I would differ from you. I would say it's not necessarily how long they train, but it's how they train and what they train to do, and how they train to think. You know what I'm saying?
See, I didn't even get to that point. My vision of how I think this could all work, like I said, 4-year school. First 2 years, just like regular fucking college. First 2 years, you're not even in the fucking field. You are literally in the books, learning the law. You are learning the same law that pre-law students are learning. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I don't understand, like, okay, so, all right, when you go to court, right, say you do anything, you know, like, say it's, I don't know, just make a fuck crime. Right, you have your lawyer, right, and they have to ask the police, you know, like say you have the police, the arresting officer or whatever the fuck, you know, on the stand or whatever. Like, shouldn't they know like the same shit, you know? Because if you know, like if the lawyer who is, you know, who studies law or whatever, you know, and like I guess practices law or whatever, shouldn't the person that enforces the law know more than the lawyer?
Should, right? In theory,
they're actually they should, right? Hey, I mean, you're enforcing it.
You know what? You know what? To that point, you know why that's such a great point? Because the cops, a lot of this police misconduct, they are doing stuff that you would never see a lawyer do. You would never see somebody who knows the law do some of the stuff that you see these people doing, because they would be like, this is illegal in some kind of way. This is a violation of some kind of constitutional right or some kind of letter of the law or something of that regard. So I'm with you there. Like if they knew the law or studied the law to that degree, they would never do that type of stuff.
Yo, and the funny thing is, I'm sorry, just real quick. It's crazy that a person like me knows more of the law than your average officer out there. And that's all I tell them every time. That's why I never get into shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why, I mean, like, my record's not so fucking, like, squeaky clean or whatever. Like, I never get into shit. And if I do get into shit, I can talk my way out of it because I know the law. Because of, you know, my skin color. Because my skin is my skin. You know what I'm saying?
You know the law. You know the law. You know the law because you're trying to stay alive.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right. And that's what I was going to say, Chance. Like, they get mad when you actually know more than them too. You know, like they try to like feel like, okay, nah, you're not right, but when you actually like spitting facts and stuff like, hey, no, this is actually right or whatever, they don't like that because like it goes back to like what y'all saying, like a power trip. They don't want to feel like you know, like you know more than them, or it's like, okay, like I don't know. I feel like, you know, with police, they just feel like we should all just be their subordinates and like shut up and like not say anything type shit. At least from my experience, like that's what I've experienced. Cause like I'm a pretty chill dude. I don't yell. Like I talk to people calmly, and like when I try to do that with them, it's like they're not trying to talk back. You know what I mean? And unless it's like a crowd or some kind of event going on, maybe. But on the one-on-one thing, it's not much communication. If that makes sense, you know. So that's why I feel the way I do. You know.
It is odd. I feel like you have had the most stories, but you usually like you're definitely the calmest of us three. You know, like you're the most like diplomatic. You know, I know I'm calm, but I've got a temper. I know for sure.
And maybe that's why they do it. You know what I mean? Because they feel like, okay, he's a chill dude, so like I don't have to talk back to him or whatever. But regardless of like what's going on in their head and shit like that, that shouldn't be an excuse to like act like that. Especially when you're a policeman, you're supposed to like we pay y'all with our money. You know, it's like we're literally like paying y'all and shit. You know, so like why are y'all doing the stuff that y'all doing? You know, so it just That's my 2 cents on that.
Speaking of Chance knowing the law, I remember there was one time my car. You were parked outside of my apartment, and we were chilling. I won't mention names. There are two other people there too, doing their own thing. But the funny thing was,
they sure were.
the funny thing is, your car was about to get towed, and you ran over and got in the car and called the police and said, "I'm being kidnapped." They dropped your shit and did not tow your car. I tell people that now to this day, if they're ever like, "Oh no, I saw my car was getting towed." Like, hey, there's the trick.
Go get in that shit. Go get in that shit. They cannot take you. If they take you 15 feet, it's kidnapping.
I should have did that with the whole McDonald's thing. Remember that?
We should have. I know. We should have, man. I guess the final note on that is, we kind of pride ourselves on our system being innocent until proven guilty, but Jay-Z called it, we're guilty until proven innocent in most of the cases, or at least that's how we've been groomed to feel,